The Station 61 crew of the Omaha Fire Department had barely begun their shift on the morning of August 17, 2013, when an urgent call pulled them into action. A house fire 2 miles south required immediate attention. In practiced unison, the firefighters donned their gear, mounted their truck, and sped through the quiet streets, sirens cutting through the early morning air. They arrived at the scene by 8:20 a.m. The modest split-level home, nestled in a tranquil neighborhood, bore the scars of a fire that had raged and then mysteriously extinguished itself. The air inside was thick and acrid, the walls coated with soot, and the furniture reduced to unrecognizable char. As the team began their search, a far more chilling discovery awaited them: multiple fatalities. Meanwhile, in a quiet corner of the city, an unopened email sat in the inbox of 36-year-old Dave Kruber. Sent late the previous night, the message carried a disturbing confession. "I set that nasty whore's house on fire. I hope the whore and her kids die in it." Unaware of the email's existence, Dave was far removed from the horrors unfolding just miles away. Less than a year earlier, Dave had stepped back into the dating world after a decade-long relationship with Amy Flora, the mother of his 2 children, had ended amicably. Eager to embrace his newfound freedom, Dave found himself drawn to the possibilities of casual dating. In October 2012, while managing an auto repair shop, he met Carrie Fava. Carrie, a poised 37-year-old with a sharp wit and striking presence, came in for a minor car repair. Their initial encounter sparked mutual interest, but professional boundaries held Dave back from acting on it. Days later, fate intervened when Carrie's profile appeared on a dating app Dave was browsing. Encouraged by the serendipity, he messaged her, starting a connection that quickly escalated. Their first date at an Applebee's restaurant on October 29 was relaxed and promising. Both sought companionship without strings attached. But as weeks passed, their dynamic deepened unexpectedly. By mid-November, Carrie was staying at Dave's Omaha apartment to cut her commute for a demanding work project. However, this brief arrangement led to an unsettling turn. On the second morning of his stay, Carrie texted Dave with a bold suggestion: "Let's move in together." Stunned, Dave replied candidly, explaining that he wasn't ready for commitment. Carrie's response was swift and venomous. "Fine, F you, I'm seeing somebody else, don't contact me again, I hate you, go away." By the time Dave returned home that evening, Carrie had left. Though he felt blindsided, Dave was relieved to have avoided what he saw as an overstep. But Carrie's departure marked the beginning of an escalating nightmare. At first, her texts were erratic, insults and accusations that stung, but seemed dismissible. Soon, the messages grew relentless, accompanied by calls to Dave's phone that he refused to answer. His workdays became a gauntlet of interruptions as his phone buzzed with an unrelenting stream of notifications. Emails followed, darker and more disturbing than the texts. One was titled "Watching," accompanied by photographs of his home and car that Carrie had taken without his knowledge. The harassment spilled into his workplace when Carrie bombarded the auto shop's phone line with hundreds of prank calls in a single day, paralyzing operations and angering Dave's boss. Each new escalation left Dave increasingly unnerved. He had seen Carrie as a potential partner, confident, charismatic, and uncomplicated. But the woman now invading every corner of his life bore no resemblance to the person he'd first met. Carrie's relentless obsession led her to target 2 women connected to Dave: his ex-partner Amy Flora, the mother of his children, and Liz Gollier, a woman Dave had been casually seeing. Carrie's fury became personal and vindictive, especially toward Liz. After a chance encounter with her at Dave's apartment, Carrie began referring to Liz in vile terms, calling her a fat, ugly whore in texts to Dave. It wasn't long before Liz, shaken and bewildered, called Dave to share her own experience. Carrie had begun bombarding her with harassing texts and emails, leaving Liz wondering how Carrie had even obtained her contact details. The harassment escalated when Liz came home one day to find her garage had been broken into. A set of checks was stolen, and soon after, a chilling message appeared, spray-painted across the garage wall. "Whore from Dave." The explicit connection to Dave and Carrie's subsequent email, boasting about the vandalism, left no doubt about the culprit. Terrified that Carrie now knew her address, Liz filed a police report with the Omaha Police Department. The investigation, however, hit a wall. Carrie had quit her job and moved to Kansas, making her difficult to locate. Police unearthed troubling details about her past, including a diagnosis of bipolar disorder. According to Carrie's mother, she had a history of abandoning her medication, frustrated by its side effects. The officers were familiar with cases like hers. Erratic behavior stemming from untreated mental illness was not uncommon, but until they could find her, the harassment would remain unchecked. As 2012 drew to a close, Carrie's campaign against Dave grew even more intense. Her messages came at a relentless pace, up to 60 emails and texts a day, leaving Dave no reprieve. Changing his phone number did little to deter her. Carrie always found him, sending messages from new and untraceable numbers. Blocking her contacts only caused her to create more, with Dave eventually saving 18 variations of Carrie in his phone to keep track. Her emails were just as prolific, often using handles like Krupa Carrie 76 and Dave's Girl Carrie, adding a mocking, possessive edge to her harassment. Carrie's messages grew increasingly unhinged. She made outrageous claims, insisting she was pregnant with Dave's child and even that she had moved into his apartment complex. One evening, while Dave tried to find a moment of peace in his living room, his phone buzzed again. The message froze him. "I see you in the chair, with your feet propped up. You're wearing your blue t-shirt." Carrie had described his posture and clothing perfectly. Adrenaline surged as Dave realized she was watching him. He sprang to his feet, scanning his surroundings for any sign of her. His apartment complex, with its clusters of brick buildings, tree-lined paths, and shadowy corners, was an ideal place for someone to hide. Dave stepped outside, the night pressing in around him. The leafy trees and dimly lit lawns offered countless places for a stalker to remain unseen. He searched the darkness, but Carrie was nowhere to be found. From that night on, Dave kept his blinds tightly shut, hoping to shield himself from Carrie's prying eyes. Yet, the walls of his apartment couldn't contain the growing menace. He and Liz, both ensnared in Carrie's relentless harassment, found solace in each other's company. Their rekindled relationship, however, seemed to pour fuel on Carrie's obsession. Often, as they sat together, their phones would buzz simultaneously, new messages from Carrie spewing venom at Liz and vowing never to leave Dave alone. They shared their frustrations, dubbing their tormentor Crazy Carrie. But the nickname did little to alleviate their fear. In the early hours of January 6, 2013, Dave received an email that sent a chill down his spine. Attached was a photograph of a woman with dark hair, bound and gagged in the trunk of a car, her face turned just enough to obscure her identity. The message was a sinister ultimatum: "You will do exactly as I say, and then I will let her go." Carrie claimed to have abducted Liz and demanded that Dave leave a voicemail, ending their relationship, after which he must reunite with Carrie. Failure to comply meant Liz would remain captive. Unsure if the threat was real, Dave frantically tried to contact Liz but received no reply. Anxiety gnawed at him until the next morning, when Liz finally responded, unaware of any danger. Relieved, Dave dismissed it as another of Carrie's twisted games. Days later, as Dave drove home, he spotted a snow-covered black Ford Explorer parked near his apartment complex. It was Carrie's car, the same one he had serviced months before. Alarmed, he contacted the police, who towed the vehicle. Despite this evidence of her proximity, authorities seemed indifferent, dismissing her claims of moving into his complex as empty threats. They did, however, download the contents of Dave's and Liz's phones, hoping to gather more information. Throughout early 2013, Carrie's harassment escalated. One evening, while Dave was visiting his children, an email arrived. "I told you I was coming to see you tonight. You weren't there. I took out a window." Returning home, he found a brick had shattered his bedroom window. Another time, his car was defaced with the words, "Dave loves fat whores." Carrie's malice extended to Liz, Amy, and any woman connected to him. She vandalized property, sent threatening messages, and even hinted at harming their children. The psychological toll was immense. Dave felt trapped in a nightmare with no end in sight. In the summer of 2013, a chilling email from Carrie arrived. "I'll kill her. She stole my heart. She broke my dreams. She stole my future when she took you away from me. That whore will die." Then, on August 17, firefighters responded to a blaze at Liz's home. The fire had ravaged the house and tragically, her pets had perished. Liz and her children were unharmed only because they had been staying at their new residence. Both she and Dave received taunting emails from Carrie, gloating over the destruction and expressing a wish that they had burned to death. Guilt and fear consumed Dave. Liz, understandably shaken, refused to share her new address. The harassment showed no signs of stopping. Desperate for protection, Dave's father gave him a 9mm pistol, which he kept hidden yet accessible. Despite this precaution, Carrie's threats remained relentless. His health deteriorated. He drank heavily, gained weight, and his work performance suffered. Carrie even vandalized his workplace, spray painting Dave beats women across the front windows. One night in 2014, as Dave hosted a female friend, someone jiggled his front door handle, attempting to break in, followed by a brick crashing through his window. The safety of those around him was now at stake. In February 2015, seeking refuge, Dave moved to Council Bluffs, Iowa. But even distance didn't deter Carrie. The harassment persisted, and one day he discovered his pistol missing from its hiding place. A week later, on December 5th, Liz decided to take an evening walk in Big Lake Park. Despite the darkness, she felt secure until a shadow loomed over her. A woman's voice commanded, "Get down on the ground." Complying out of fear, Liz heard the chilling question, "So, you like fucking Dave?" Two loud bangs echoed through the night, and a searing pain shot through her left thigh. She had been shot. Summoning all her strength, Liz scrambled to her feet and fled into the darkness, wounded but alive. Liz Gollier's panicked voice rang through the 911 call center as she sat trembling beside her car at Big Lake Park. "I've been shot in the leg," she told the operator. "My pant leg is soaked with blood." Moments later, officers arrived to find Liz, visibly distraught, clutching her injured leg as she spoke into her phone. She recounted the terrifying encounter, how a shadowy figure had approached her, ordered her to the ground, and in a chilling tone asked, "So, you like fettin' Dave?" before shooting her. What shocked the officers most, however, was Liz's revelation. The shooter wasn't Carrie Farver, the woman everyone assumed was behind the years of harassment. It was Amy Flora, Dave Krupa's ex-partner and the mother of his 2 children. This shocking claim sent investigators scrambling to revisit the twisted events that had begun over 3 years earlier. On November 13, 2012, Carrie Farver, a bright, independent woman in the early days of dating Dave Krupa, sent her mother, Nancy Rainey, an unexpected text. Carrie claimed she had accepted a new job in Kansas and would be relocating immediately. Nancy, who was caring for Carrie's teenage son Max, was baffled. Carrie hadn't mentioned any plans to leave Iowa, where she had a stable job and her own home. The abruptness of the message felt off, and the tone didn't sound like her daughter. Over the next few days, Nancy's concern deepened. Carrie, a devoted mother and family-oriented person, began missing significant milestones: her brother's wedding, her father's funeral, and Max's school events, all without explanation. Carrie reported her daughter missing, but police brushed off her concerns. Carrie's bipolar disorder, they suggested, might explain her erratic behavior. They believed she had chosen to leave, pointing to texts and social media posts where Carrie claimed she was starting a new chapter in Kansas. But Nancy wasn't convinced. The texts were riddled with errors, a stark contrast to Carrie's usual meticulous grammar. Her posts lacked her characteristic warmth and humor, and her total disappearance from family life was deeply uncharacteristic. Adding to the mystery, Carrie's black Ford Explorer, registered under Nancy's name, was reported stolen weeks later. Then, in December, the vehicle appeared in the parking lot of Dave Krupa's apartment complex in Omaha. Police towed and searched the car, but found no evidence of a crime. It was immaculately clean, with only one fingerprint, a match for neither Carrie nor anyone in law enforcement databases, on a mint container in the cup holder. Eventually, the car was returned to Nancy, but the lack of answers only fueled the family's growing certainty that something sinister had happened to Carrie. Meanwhile, Dave Krupa's life was spiraling into chaos. After dating Carrie briefly, he became the target of a relentless harassment campaign. Emails, texts, and threats from someone claiming to be Carrie began flooding his inbox. As the harassment escalated, the unknown assailant expanded their reach, targeting other women in Dave's life, including his ex-partner Amy Flora and Liz Gollier, a woman he was casually seeing. Liz, in particular, suffered significant losses. Her home was vandalized, her pets were killed in a suspicious house fire, and her car was keyed with cruel insults. Despite the chaos, Liz and Dave began to suspect that someone else was impersonating Carrie to torment them. In December 2015, Liz received an email purportedly from Amy Flora. The message contained a graphic confession to Carrie's murder, describing how she had stabbed Carrie multiple times, burned her body, and disposed of the remains. Amy claimed to have planted Carrie's car at Dave's apartment to make it appear she was stalking him. The email included eerie details, such as Carrie's yin-yang tattoo and a layout of her home, that suggested the writer had intimate knowledge of the crime. But investigators were cautious. Was Amy truly the perpetrator, or was someone framing her? In February 2016, detectives re-examined Carrie's Ford Explorer with forensic tools unavailable during the initial investigation. Luminol testing revealed bloodstains beneath the passenger seat's fabric. DNA analysis confirmed the blood belonged to Carrie Farver, providing the first concrete evidence that she had met with violence. The discovery transformed her missing person case into a homicide investigation. The confessions didn't stop there. Over time, Amy sent multiple emails with varying accounts of Carrie's murder, all containing disturbing levels of detail. In one version, she described stabbing Carrie in her car and watching her die in the woods as she begged for her life. Another email outlined how she cleaned Carrie's home and staged her disappearance by contacting Nancy under Carrie's name. The chilling specificity gave investigators new insight into the depths of the deception. Adding another layer to the mystery, detectives discovered that Liz Gaulier had called Carrie's home 6 times in early November 2012, just days before Carrie disappeared. These calls, each lasting mere seconds, suggested a connection between Liz and Carrie long before Liz claimed to have known her. A breakthrough came from Liz's phone, which contained photographs taken on December 24, 2012, showing Carrie's black Ford Explorer. These photos were captured weeks before Dave Krupa reported finding the vehicle near his apartment, suggesting Liz's knowledge of its location long before it was discovered. Further analysis revealed that Liz's fingerprint matched the one found on a mint container in the car, a key piece of evidence tying her directly to the vehicle. Detectives dug deeper into Liz's relationship with Dave. They discovered that Liz, whose full name was Shanna Elizabeth Gaulier, had met Dave through the dating site Plenty of Fish in mid-2012. Although their relationship was casual and marked by shallow interactions, Liz frequently pressured Dave for exclusivity, which he resisted. When Dave met Carrie Farver in October 2012, the connection was immediate. Carrie's intelligence, confidence, and shared desire for a non-committal relationship set her apart. Liz, however, wasn't ready to let go. During Dave and Carrie's first date, Liz's behavior foreshadowed her future obsession. She incessantly called and texted Dave, demanding to retrieve belongings from his apartment. When Dave ignored her, she showed up unannounced, interrupting his evening with Carrie. Though Carrie brushed off the incident, it was a clear sign of Liz's inability to move on. This moment marked the beginning of a toxic fixation that would escalate into a chilling and calculated campaign. The last confirmed sighting of Carrie was on November 13, 2012, when Dave kissed her goodbye as she worked on her laptop at his apartment. Later that day, Carrie's phone logged into Facebook and Dave was unfriended. Shortly after, he received a strange text from Carrie asking if they should move in together, completely out of character given her aversion to serious relationships. When he declined, the abusive messages began, seemingly from Carrie. At the same time, Carrie's workplace received a resignation text claiming she had taken a job in Kansas and recommending Shanna Gaulier as her replacement. Hours later, Liz applied for a position at Carrie's company despite lacking the qualifications. Her application was rejected, but the connection between Liz and Carrie's disappearance grew increasingly suspicious. As detectives examined Liz's phone, damning evidence mounted. Photos of a woman bound and gagged in a car trunk, the same image used to threaten Dave, were discovered, taken on Liz's device. Investigators also traced a YouTube video of Dave's apartment complex, uploaded under Carrie's name, to Liz's IP address. A pattern emerged. Liz had meticulously crafted a web of deception to impersonate Carrie and target Dave and anyone connected to him. Nancy Rainey, Carrie's mother, provided additional evidence. Among the texts Nancy received from Carrie's number was one asking her to let a buyer collect furniture from Carrie's home. Attached was a photo of a $5,000 check signed by Liz Gaulier. Investigators now had a clearer picture of Liz's involvement, but they needed more direct proof. In December 2015, detectives fabricated a story about human remains believed to be Carrie's, hoping to provoke Liz into revealing information. Liz soon forwarded emails supposedly from Amy Flora, confessing to murdering Carrie and providing gruesome details. The emails described Carrie's yin-yang tattoo, the layout of her home, and the method of disposal. All information only someone involved could know. Despite these revelations, detectives suspected Liz was behind the confessions, fabricating them to deflect blame. Finally, on February 25, 2016, police executed a search warrant at Liz's apartment while arresting her at work. Among the items recovered was a distinctive shower curtain purchased with Carrie's debit card after her disappearance. The final pieces of the puzzle fell into place when investigators searched Liz Gollier's apartment and discovered a digital camera and a red Sony camcorder that had gone missing from Carrie Farver's home. On the camera was a chilling video recorded on November 11, 2012, just 2 days before Carrie disappeared. The footage showed Carrie documenting vandalism to her black Ford Explorer, which she intended to give to her son, Max. White spray paint had defaced the hood, and Carrie's words hinted at unease. Apparently, somebody here in the whopping metropolis of Macedonia, Iowa, decided Max's Explorer was not the right color. Detectives strongly suspected Liz was behind this act of intimidation, another step in her escalating obsession. The evidence of Liz stalking Carrie in the days before her disappearance didn't stop there. Phone records showed that Liz had called Carrie's home multiple times in early November. 2 fake Facebook accounts also attempted to friend Carrie shortly before she went missing, both originating from Macedonia, but misspelling the town's name in a distinctive, identical way, a detail investigators believe tied them directly to Liz. Detectives also uncovered a troubling history of Liz's manipulative behavior. Despite her fixation on Dave Krupa, Liz had been in a long-term relationship with another man, Eric, a pseudonym, during the same period. Eric had supported Liz financially, helped care for her 2 children, and even allowed them to move into his home after Liz was evicted in 2013. When Liz's house burned down in August of that year, she and her children were already living with Eric, and the fire seemed suspiciously convenient. No valuable items were lost, but the blaze claimed the lives of 4 pets, including 2 dogs Eric had purchased for Liz. Liz's duplicity extended to Eric as well. Text messages and emails began arriving for him from Carrie, claiming to know Liz. When Eric confronted Liz, she brushed it off, calling Carrie a friend. As Eric grew tired of Liz's cruelty and lies, he ended their relationship in late 2015, just as Liz's erratic behavior escalated. Key evidence came to light when investigators examined internet activity from Liz's time at Eric's house. Because Eric worked for the county IT department, law enforcement had access to long-term records of his Wi-Fi network. These records confirmed that Liz had used his connection to create fake accounts and sent thousands of harassing messages while impersonating Carrie. In December 2016, Liz Gollier was charged with first-degree murder for Carrie Farver's death and second-degree arson for burning down her own home. As her defense lawyer argued that there was no proof Carrie wasn't alive, investigators uncovered another critical lead. Dave Krupa remembered a tablet Liz had occasionally used during their relationship. Inside the tablet's micro SD card, forensic experts found thousands of deleted photos. Most were harmless selfies and pictures of Liz's children, but some were deeply disturbing. Among them were images of a blue and gray tarp concealing an object, what appeared to be human flesh with a yin-yang tattoo, and decomposing human remains with Chinese characters tattooed on a foot. Carrie's mother confirmed that the tattoo matched one Carrie had on her left foot. To investigators, the photos felt like trophies, a grotesque attempt to preserve Liz's crime. This discovery became the case's smoking gun. Faced with the overwhelming evidence, Liz waived her right to a jury trial and opted for a bench trial. She offered no testimony, and her defense presented no evidence. The prosecution, however, meticulously detailed Liz's years-long campaign of harassment, impersonation, and violence. On May 24, 2017, Liz Gallia was found guilty of murder and arson. She was sentenced to life in prison for Carey's murder and 18 to 20 years for arson, to be served consecutively. Carey's loved ones, who had endured years of torment, believing she was alive but unreachable, finally found closure. Her mother, Nancy Rainey, spoke of Carey's vibrant spirit and her enduring legacy. Max, now in university studying computer science, honors his mother's memory every day. A scholarship in Carey's name has been established at Iowa Western Community College, ensuring that her love of learning and kindness lives on. For years, Liz's deceit had cast a shadow over so many lives. She manipulated, terrorized, and killed in a desperate bid to maintain control over Dave Krupa, destroying countless lives in the process. Dave, once a target of Liz's wrath, has since worked tirelessly to share Carey's story alongside Nancy, helping to ensure that Carey Farver's life is remembered not for the tragedy that befell her, but for the kindness and joy she brought to those she loved. In an interview with the Omaha World Herald, Nancy said, "Carey loved life. I just wish she could have had more of it." Though the physical remains of Carey may never be recovered, her spirit lives on in the hearts of those who knew her and in the countless people touched by her story.